Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to MMA KAY. Go ahead and feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for those of you who have been subscribing for the past couple days and watching my videos and stuff like that. I've been a little bit light on content this week, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little reaction to some of the stuff that Israel Adesanya did in his media scrum. Now, before I want to go into this, I want to preface that I've watched this a few times. I have a few things to talk about. He kind of mentioned. And I just noticed Adesanya has a really nice watch. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's crack in.
How much have you missed the game being out away from the sport?
It's been fun to watch the game from far away and just observe. And again, a lot happens in a year, a lot of growth, a lot of understanding of the game, the fighting game itself, and of myself as an athlete, as a person. Yeah, so it's good to clock back into work and do what I do best.
Do you feel like you've missed the sport, or has the sport missed you? Do you feel like this sport is missing you and the Israel Adesanya experience?
I have missed fighting, but I think the sports missed me. From what I'm hearing in my DMs from fans, again, I was one of the last, real ones who was active, not trying to just hold the belt for no reason, fight everybody. So yeah, I'm just happy to be back.
I think that's just a subtle shot at Khamzat Chimaev and him just suggesting that, the champions weren't very active. Like, even if you look at DDP's reign during, after Strickland obviously took the belt from him, and then Strickland had his title defense against DDP, loses the title defense, which I arguably thought he won that fight. DDP has been active because he had obviously his third title defense against Khamzat Chimaev. But if you compare his activity to Israel Adesanya's, it's nothing compared to that. I mean, Izzy was doing title defenses every quarter, essentially, right? Up until that Alex Pereira fight. And not just that, but he was choosing and picking his title defenses. He was not just choosing and picking, but he was doing a decent job until that Yoel Romero fight. Couldn't say that properly. He was doing better until then. And then all of a sudden you notice like he just sort of it felt like after that fight, to me, his aura kind of like faded away. I started to notice that he would say things that he's gonna do in these fights and never actually live up to those things that he said he's gonna do. And it started to feel like he was selling the fight. But when it came down to performing in the fight itself, he was kind of like not trying to take those chances, right? Whereas if you see him in fights before that, you could see him try to take those chances and stuff like that. I mean, he had a lot of swag. When he fought Anderson Silva, I thought he looked really, really incredible. Now, with all of that being said, he's fighting tomorrow morning. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to put this out tonight or tomorrow morning. I have to put it out. But my whole point in trying to make that right there is just that he was really good at the way he would come out. So when he came out to the Robert Whittaker fight and he did that whole performance, that to me was like, wow. I mean, this guy is so confident. I mean, when I watch that fight back and I look at the way he performed right before the fight, I'm like, this dude, like, he's basically given himself no chance of not winning because he's like, you look retarded if you go out, do the dance, and then you lose the fight. For example, Michelle Pereira, or whatever you want to call him, the one from Houston who just fought last in Houston, he did a whole thing where he was dancing and dancing, and maybe that's actually the wrong fight. I think he won that fight. But my point is that when you do a big performance in your entrance, and you don't win, it looks terrible on you. Like Michael Venom Page, who just got somewhat slack from the UFC London card. He does all this like crazy cool stuff. To me, it's very cringe, actually, if I'm being honest, when he's walking out the cage. And then he goes into that cage with Sam Patterson and doesn't perform it. And it's like, save your fucking energy, dude. For like, you don't have to perform. You don't have to like act a certain way or be a certain way before your fight. Go within yourself and do your thing. And when you fight, fucking perform and make it look amazing. So we'll be more of a fan of yours. We're not going to be a fan of you when you walk out like that and then you lose the fight. It's just like, or you perform the way you perform. I mean, he didn't lose the fight, to be fair, but like, it's just his performance was so shit, right? So, Michael Venom Page, you know, obviously, I love you, brother. Like, if I met you, obviously, I wouldn't say this to your face, but it just sucks, right? Seeing you, the way you performed and then talk such a big game. In Bellator, you're such a great fighter. And again, this is not to be about MVP, but yeah. Let's go back to Adesanya.
Looking at Joe, on paper, threat is the heavy hands that he always has. He's got that knockout power. Do you see that as his biggest weapon in this, or do you think he's more well-rounded than perhaps we're giving him credit for?
No, I think he's very well-rounded. I think he is a big threat on the feet with the hands. And also his shot. He's got a fast shot. I studied that very well in his grappling tendencies. So, yeah, I look forward to him testing that against me, and I want him to feel what I can do when it comes to grappling.
Yeah. You said that fighting now is about showing your skills and getting to express yourself in the cage. What does the full expression look like on Saturday? If you could design the perfect fight and like, oh, that's how I want to come out of the cage, what does it look like?
I go in there, you know, touch gloves with the, face off, get into my stance, and I just go at him, attack him straight away. He tries to hit me, I'm not there. And then when I'm hitting him, he's going to be like, right, let's shoot. Shoots, stuffs the takedown. Because the takedown defense starts from the feet, starts from the distance. And I just don't think he's going to, only way he can, no, I won't say that one. But yeah, I want to be clean. I want to go in there and let him hit fresh air.
You're a big guy on energy. What have you made of Joe's energy?
I like what he said there. Like, he doesn't want to obviously reveal his entire game plan or what the opposite person could do for him. But, you listen to Joe Pyfer's coach, like who's the guy that he's coaching, the one that does it, Julian Robertson. I mean, I should know his name by this point, but let me just take a quick look over here, because when he talks about the way they're going to approach, the fight with Poirier, it's just like, Dean Thomas, right? When he refers to how they're going to approach the fight with Adesanya, in my opinion, it looks like, or it sounds like, at least to me, that what they want to try and do is put the pressure on early so Adesanya doesn't get into a rhythm. Now, the thing is, I think Adesanya is going to have some new tricks up his sleeve. He talked about it briefly, and he's going to talk about it probably in this interview. But he did briefly talk about it, where he's like, when someone takes a whole year off, especially off of MMA, I just feel like Adesanya is the type of person that he's just going to develop his game. So it's almost like when he goes into the fight tomorrow night in front of everybody in the Climate Pledge Arena, in front of all the fans and stuff like that, and everybody's sharing his name, and Pyfer is going to have the biggest fight of his career and have all that pressure on him. I think he's going to show out and show up in a different way. I think he's going to show up in a way where no one's going to expect the performance that he's going to give, because when he's had to have his back against the corner and had to show up and do something incredible, he always typically pulls through. Like, if you watch his fight against Paulo Costa, obviously it's an incredible fight, especially the way it ended. He made Paulo Costa pregnant, right? So I just think that his whole response to his whole year off is just going to be completely different. I don't think Joe Pyfer really knows or understands what's coming. And I think he wants to know and understand what's coming, but leave it up to God in this case, right?
This week, like, I know that you guys have quite a nice relationship, but obviously he's found religion now and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He found religion?
Like, hardcore.
Oh, real? I had no idea.
Yeah.
Good for him. Which one? Christian, Islamic?
He did not specify. I would assume Christian.
That's cool. Respect.
But yeah, he's been very, very change of character, not very aggressive. He's sort of saying that he's here and that now his life is about more than just fighting. He sees this as unimportant in his life now compared to his religion. Do you take anything from that? Do you take anything from his energy this week? And if so, what do you make of it?
Nah, I didn't really know. I haven't seen him this week, so we haven't really felt energy. But I don't think there's going to be an issue. We've met once or twice, and he's been very complimentary, and I've given it back. But yeah, I don't. When we get in there and they lock the cage doors, the beast will come out, and yeah, alhamdulillah.
Sounds like he's talking about the whole thing with his dog, you know? And I mean, he is obviously a Chinese champion or a former Chinese champion. You can say Nigerian if you want. You say the true African champion, but regardless of all of that, whatever you decide to say or call him, I mean, he is the former middleweight champion who's had an incredible, incredible reign, Chinese or not, you know? So all that put aside, I think he's going to show up very differently. Like, the cool thing about Adesanya is, like, no matter what, in his media days, in his media scrums, he always knows how to talk a certain way. When he doesn't back it up is when I feel more deflated about, like, his performances or just being a fan of his altogether. And don't get me wrong, if I obviously met him in person, I'd be like, hey, dude, I'm a big fan. Or at least I'm a fan, you know? But I remember one time I went to one of the fights in Austin over here. And at this fight, I'm like asking one of the guys, I'm like, hey, you know, who's who's your favorite fighter in the UFC? It's like a common question most people ask. And this guy's like, oh, Adesanya. And I just agreed with him, and I was like, yeah, me too. But like in the back of my mind, I was like, Adesanya's not really that cool. Like, he was cool on his rise up, right? He was awesome and he was amazing. And just to, I'm curious to understand and who, know who your guys' favorite fighters are in the UFC itself. So leave a comment down below if you have a specific fighter that you like. But yeah, it's just interesting to hear a lot of people say that despite his performances and stuff like that. But the aura of Adesanya is still there, in my opinion. I mean, the way he knocked out Alex Pereira and he has that post-fight speech, I mean, you can't really like, up until this day, apart from McGregor, I don't think anyone could really top that, to be honest with you.
Israel over here, right here in the front row. How's it going?
Hey, man.
Good to see you again. Tell me how this fight was sort of presented to you. Was it just that you wanted to get back and the UFC sort of offered you Joe, or were there any other names in the mix? Like how did this fight materialize?
To be honest, I just said yes. They offered me Joe, and I said yes. I'm not sure which other names were offered to my managers. They, like, the buck stops with me. The line, I signed on the dotted line. So, yeah, they will only present me something if it's something of substance, something that's like on the table. So he was the only name offered, and I was just like, yep, let's fight, because I was ready to fight.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think, if I'm not mistaken, right before the Sean Strickland fight, he did sign a new contract. Now, I don't know much about the contracts. I think they're like 6-fight contracts or 8-fight contracts. I could see Adesanya deciding to go ahead and step out of the UFC after his contract's over and fight out his contract, and then go into a fight with Jake Paul or just some of those, like, one of those like fights where they do MVP cards or do a boxing match or whatever with like Misfits or whatever the case is. But yeah, I mean, basically, like, the way Anderson Silva has been doing it, I think that's something that he would do. He would kind of repeat something similar, Playbook or whatever the case is. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched that show on Paramount about, Anderson Silva. I wasn't really there as a fan of the UFC during, Anderson Silva's reign, but watching that show and seeing his whole, like, childhood and then his, like, fight career and everything, and the way he neglects, spoiler alert, the way he neglects, certain people in his life because he's trying to chase his thing. It's really fascinating to watch, and it's like, when you watch that and you see him afterwards, you find it even more fascinating. Like, now when Anderson Silva fights next, I'm gonna be a super fan of his because of that. And I think, a lot of these past fighters who we don't know about, like Mark, like was it Mark Coleman, who they did a movie on with Dwayne Johnson. Like, they should do more stuff like that in the media. I think or just in movies in general. I think it'd be awesome, because then you have more of a connection. You understand what that fighter's been through, I think Adesanya is a very unique case because he goes and he has this entire dream and he just chases this dream, and his dad's an accountant, and the way he just like, I don't know if you guys remember or if you're aware of this, but like he did a video like not too long ago, maybe like a year or two ago, and he's showing like this whole like um community that he built, which is like the Adesanya community or something like that. And it was amazing. It was like amazing that he had created this entire apartment complex that was with his name on it, and all the people that he loved and supported him that were living in those homes and stuff like that, or apartments or whatever you would call it. Just really cool, like the stuff that he's done. And I think it's really incredible that like he set himself up really, really well. And he always talks really good about the UFC. I don't know if you noticed, but like he goes sometimes, you know, he'll say like in his media scrums, like, you know, the UFC is gonna do right by the fighter or whatever the case is. Anyways,
Mentality any different this time around with all the time off you've had? I know you wanted, you know, to kind of take a step back, just kind of look on your career and then come back. Like, is there a different feel this week, or are you treating this like every other fight?
It feels the same, to be honest.
Okay.
You know, it's I'm glad it's less media. Shout out to Tim for trimming it down. I'm glad it's just, you know, it's a good way to get back into the game. You know, I can go in the deep end. I can jump in there and swim with the sharks. But I like this pace where I just kind of like come in and, oh, everything's so familiar. So my body recognizes it. My mind recognizes it. We're just going.
yeah, I think right there you talk about the nervous system, and it's true because like when you do something after a long, long time of not doing it, you take an entire year off. That's a long layoff for a fighter, right? Like a whole year, and or maybe not for Khamzat Chimaev, but for most fighters, it's like a long layoff, right? It's like you want to be as active as possible because you build that momentum. It's just like anything in life, right? If I'm trying to focus on, you know, creating a business or doing some sort of fitness goal, I want that momentum to build and stack and stack and stack. And you know, I might have some ups and downs days in between, but for the most part, I want that trajectory to go upward, right? So it's even like with this channel itself, right? So I completely understand where he's coming from in that particular case, and I think it's nice that, you know, Tim, whoever Tim is, did like give it a little bit of give him more of a breather. But I think like people are gonna always soak up Adesanya's interviews and stuff like that. And I think it's really cool. What he did is he put a lot of media out on his own channel. I don't know if he did that on purpose or whatever the case is, but like that one that he had with the other fighter that's gonna be um fighting out of his camp, you know, I thought that was a really good podcast that they did together. And the thing is like it shows a different side, right? Like if you go back to the Joe Rogan podcast, right? When he first won the title, and you watch, you know, in fact, we should probably do that to be fair. To be fair, but if you go back, yeah, now the host starting. If you go back to, you know, that podcast with him that he did was really cool. I commented on there as well. But if you watch that and you go back to when he won the title, you go back to that interview with Joe Rogan. It's just incredible perspective that he has on it. You know, I think we will go into it.
I know the task at hand is obviously, you know, taking out Joe, and there's, you know, the division's open now with obviously Chimaev being champion and everything. You did have that move up to 205 a couple of years ago. Is that something that's still a possibility of you going back up, or do you see yourself just continuing at 85? Yeah,
I'll leave that to like Rob, and I think Costa apparently is going up. Apparently Chimaev is going. I found out yesterday he might be moving up. So I don't know. I like 185. This is where I'm at. This is where I range. So I'm gonna stay.
How do you?
Yeah, I think he's right about that as well. Like, I think he even said, like, in his kickboxing matches, he's got up to heavyweight and stuff like that. And it felt really comfortable. And I think 185 is, you know, I mean, apart from that weight cut that we saw also, but I think that's also, like, not his fault. It's just he hasn't been training for a year. He did a weight cut, probably, like, underestimated how much he had to cut, how much weight he had to cut or whatever, right? Or dehydrate. But, yeah, I mean, to me, to be fair, I think just seeing him in general, and also I know a lot of people talk about his nose and stuff like that, and like how his nose might be broken or whatever the case is. Yeah, if Pyfer could get a hold of that nose and you know, touch him up there with his fist, I think that's gonna be the end of it if that case is true. Regardless of that, I do think that this is a good mindset that Adesanya is coming into in the fight. I think he's doing a great job in terms of the way he's portraying himself and the way he's carrying himself. And I don't think he needs to go up to light heavyweight if I'm being transparent. Like, leave it up to Rob, like he said, leave it up to Paulo Costa. I think 185 is his division. And I think what he wants to do, and I think in the back of his mind without him saying it, I think he wants Sean Strickland to win the fight against Khamzat Chimaev. I think he wants to, go for the title shot. And you know what? The UFC is not going to deny him the title shot, if I'm being honest with you. The UFC is going to let him do it because he has looked good since he fought Sean Strickland. After fighting DDP, Imavov, he looked good. He looked really decent up until the point that he lost. So I even did a reel about this. I think if you compare his fight against, like, let's say Alex Pereira, right? You compare Joe Pyfer's fight against, like, Jack Hermanson. I'm sure that these two individuals have leveled up their skills and they have a different acumen as fighters as well. So that's why it all counts in that night, tomorrow night when they actually do fight and come across the cage from each other. But in the meantime, like in the Octagon, sorry. In the meantime, like, they both did really well. Pyfer just couldn't seem to close the distance, right, with Jack Hermanson. If Adesanya can keep him at that range, like Jack Hermanson did, Adesanya's winning this fight, whether it's knockout or by decision, right? If Pyfer can get to him, which they say Pyfer can, right? They say Pyfer's wrestling is really good. He trains with Sean Brady, but, like, in all fairness, Sean Brady, not to discount Sean Brady's skills and stuff like that, but he didn't look good in his last fight at all, right? Was he having an off night? More than likely. We're all human, I understand. But at the same time, there is an essence of, like, we just don't know, right? We just really don't know how good, Pyfer's wrestling is because we haven't even seen it yet, right? So, yeah.
I think Rob will do it 205 and Paulo Costa for that matter.
I have no idea about Costa, but Rob's been looking good in the gym. He started his camp with us. So, yeah, great. Just a great training partner to have in the room. And, yeah, he still got it. I'll tell you that much.
Dude, honestly, I'm not going to lie. It warms my heart to hear that, like, Izzy give, like, Rob his flowers, because when Izzy and Rob had this, like, rivalry, it was like one of the rivalries I didn't want them to have. Like, I understand the first fight, the way it happened. Cool. Yeah, that's cool. The second fight, if I'm not mistaken, they had a third fight as well. But those other two fights, it was like, bro, Rob is such a fan favorite. Like, I like Rob a lot. I think he's so charismatic. I think he's just hilarious as fuck. I think he's cool as hell. Just such a, like, genuinely awesome guy. I don't know. Rob has just got this, like, I like Rob a lot. And then during that time, I loved Izzy, and I'm not saying I don't right now, but, like, in general, I did like Izzy as a fighter, and obviously I want to see Izzy win and do really well. When they're both fighting each other, it's like, it's kind of like, seeing your favorite fighter fight your favorite fighter, right? It's kind of like that Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje fight at UFC 300. So in the same breath, all I'm trying to say essentially is, like, I prefer them to be friends. And I like it more that way. Like, if now you go and say, oh, we're going to do Alex Pereira versus Stylebender, I'm like, no, man, I want to see these two just be friends. Like, it's kind of, I don't know. It just feels really nice to have, these fighters being friends with each other. Like, and the reason I say this is because, like, I watched, like, the RAF press conference with, like, Colby Covington and, like, Dylan Dennis, and it's just, for the first time in my life, I'm like, this is so distasteful. The fact that these guys are, like, talking about, like, the moms and the sisters, and it's just like, I get it. Like, they're trying to hype up the fight, but it's kind of distasteful, if I'm being honest. And it's the first time I've ever felt that way, because before this, I loved Connor for whatever he said, and I didn't give a shit if his his opponent's fans felt some other type of way. But now I'm just like, I don't know if I'm just getting older or whatever the case is, but now I'm just like, that is so distasteful in my opinion. I don't know, maybe I'm just maturing more. So that's what it is. But regardless, anyways, let's get back into it.
Yeah, no, he looked good. There's a lot of history here in Seattle with Bruce Lee. Obviously, he passed away here. I know.
We're gonna go see him after this.
I was just gonna say, because Song Yadong, I know he headlined the card last time. He went and visited his grave. Is that so that you're gonna be doing something similar?
Me and Navajo are gonna be going to the tomb of one of the GOATs after this and just pay our respects, but also just get some energy, get some mana.
How much of an impact did Bruce have on your career?
On my
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Going to see Bruce Lee get that mana. I don't know why you said after, though. I thought you should do that before.
career, again, if not for him, us Chinese people might not be. No. If not for him,
Still got the jokes. Still got the jokes.
But if not for him, you know, movies might not be the way it is. Action movies, you know, action stars, Blade, Chuck Norris, like those guys. Rest in peace. You know, they might not be where it is. But for me, Jackie Chan was my guy that I grew up watching. You know, Bruce Lee was, I guess, for the 80s. A lot of Black Americans and Americans fuck with it, and you know, but for me it was Jackie Chan. He was more my flavor. But Bruce Lee is a legend. He's a guy that I've admired. His philosophy, mainly his fighting style was cool, but mainly his philosophies and the way he thought. That's what drew me to him.
Be like, what up?
And just last one for me. I'm sure we'll see how the fight goes on Saturday, but are you kind of just taking it fight to fight as far as, you know, the longevity of your career? Like if this goes really well, that could maybe extend things. Is that kind of how you're seeing things? Because you got a lot of things going on outside. Like you got the YouTube channel. There's a lot of things happening for you outside of fighting.
Yeah, but I still have so much left on the table. And for me, I'm taking everything one moment at a time, one day at a time, one fight at a time, because the world's crazy right now, so we don't know what's going to happen. So everything is just about this moment. Normally, when I was coming up, also I'm in a different place in my career. When I was coming up, you know, I'm fighting actively 5 times in my first year in the UFC, calling out name after name after name, picking my opponents. But it's not really just like, why would I don't need to do, I am me. I'm Israel Adesanya, so they call me out. I've been away for a year and I've had a few call outs that I hear about through the grapevine. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, so yeah, I don't really have to do all that stuff. I just kind of come in there and just get my job done.
Yeah, I see what he's saying. It still does sound like there's a sense of ego there. I don't know what philosopher speaks about this. I forgot who it was or who talks about this, but he always says the word I is ego. The word I itself is ego. And when you say I this and I that, or you identify with something specific, it's all about ego, right? Like I could say I'm a YouTuber, that's identity, right? But that's also ego as well. So, you know, I'm not trying to get too philosophical and all this, you know, stuff. But in the same breath, like I see where he's coming from. It's just like we don't want to see him become another, you know, I was gonna say Tony Robbins, but Tony Ferguson. We don't want to see him become another Tony Ferguson. So, and I mean that with all respect. I love Tony Ferguson, but in the same breath, like Izzy's looked really good in his fights up until he's lost, and I'm hoping and I'm praying for tomorrow that he wins, because Joe Pyfer, you know, theoretically could lose this fight, win his next 2 or 3 fights, and still fight for the title. But if Adesanya loses this fight, it's just kind of like, it is really make it or break it for him, if I'm being honest. Like, he won to Pereira, loses to Strickland, loses to DDP, loses to Imavov. So this would be his 4th loss in a row. In my opinion, you don't want that 4th loss. You don't want that L, especially on your record. You know, you go all these fights in a row, winning and winning and winning. That's why what Alexander Volkanovski's doing is tremendous. Adversity is a privilege, like whatever he said. Like that was beautiful. After he won the featherweight title, after defeating Diego Lopez for the first time, after losing to Ilia Topuria, after losing to, you know, Makachev, the top 2 pound for pound fighters right now currently. It was beautiful. Adversity is a privilege. Yeah, I think Alexander Volkanovski is going to kick Mozart's ass, but that's a discussion for another day. I don't want to trigger you people, so.
Did someone call you out that you didn't feel was deserving of it? Like you kind of just made that comment there.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Izzy over here. You said you're at a different stage in your career. What do you feel that this fight represents for you at this stage in your career?
This is like the classic tale, because I've watched this game for so long. This is the classic tale of when they try and get, the old guard and give him a young dog, So for me, I've seen how this goes. This is just the cycle. And sometimes, us old fellas or older guys, stop them in their tracks. So this fight for me is just the story I'm telling myself. The story I'm going to write this weekend is after a year off, he comes back and just performs better than he ever has, or just like he did. And people because again, you know how the game is. People just, you're only as good as your last fight. So when I'm done this weekend, I want people to be like, oh, wow, fuck. How did I ever doubt him? How did I ever think he was done? Like, what the fuck was I thinking? So yeah, that's the story I want to write this weekend.
And
Yeah, and if you think about that, like he talks about that, like going up to that like second Alex Pereira fight in the UFC, and he achieves it. So like, we really have no reason to doubt Adesanya. Apart from those like low level performances, in my opinion, where he's just like coasting, Adesanya has been a really cool person, really, really cool person. And I think he's impacted me as a person individually. Even if he doesn't fully perform, even when he says certain things, it hits home really to the heart. And I think it's just, I think some of the wisdom that he's able to like share with the MMA community is beautiful. In the same breath, at the same time, it's just like, this sport is brutal. Joe Pyfer knocks him out tomorrow. Everyone's just going to be, on Adesanya's ass. It's kind of sad, to be honest with you. Anyways.
With recent setbacks in your career, how have you adjusted your preparation in preparing for Joe Pyfer?
It wasn't really about the opponent, because we do that very well. We take care of the game plan as a team very well. For me, it was just about details, staying off my phone less, because you don't realize, like, fuck, even when the whole thing dropped, the list dropped, my whole timeline was just Island, Epstein, this, that, blah, blah. And it just gets depressing. So I had to log out. And then that habit where you grab your phone out of habit to go back in there.
Oh, yeah.
I have the door locked now. So like you have to log in. So I know, do I want to go back in there or not? Because again, it fucks with your attention span, fucks with your focus, a lot of things. So I got off my phone more, I stayed off my phone more, gamed more, slept better. What else? Ate good. Still had some Uber Eats, but yeah, ate really good. Tried to eat clean, and just little details. Those are the things I took care of in preparation for this fight. Not really like the game plan and stuff, because we do that very well.
Yeah, and he's right. Like when they came into the game, their gym CKB is incredible, and I think it's just like these small details that sometimes you forget about. When you get some success or whatever the case is, you kind of forget about these small details. You don't mean to, on purpose, but you just happen to forget about these little details that you need to incorporate into the game. And it's like you're coming in from this mindset of like, now you've been through the struggle, you've lost your last 4 fights or whatever the case is, or 3 fights, right? Now you understand and you're able to reflect a little bit more accurately on like what the lessons are that you've learned. And at the end of the day, as long as you're able to take those lessons and use them as feedback and course correct, then in and of itself, it's more of like a lesson and less of a loss itself, right? So yeah.
Thank you. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, how much you're such a seasoned fighter that how much do you think like randomness, the element of randomness or luck factors into professional MMA? In your last fight, you won the first round and you looked to be doing pretty well in the second round. You got hit with a low blow, maybe didn't wait as long as you should have before going back in. Do you think that's an element of randomness or luck? And I guess in general, how much has that, have you thought about that in your career?
That's a good question. Randomness. I mean, that's life. Things happen. But yeah, for me, the lesson was, take time. You don't have to. As soon as it happened, I was kind of on the fly. I was like, you know what? I don't want to give him time to rest because I knew I was winning. But yeah, I made a mistake by resetting at the wrong distance. So that was my bad. And these are things that happen in life. Sometimes you're doing so well, and then all it takes is a split second of lapse in focus. And again, I've taken care of that very well this camp.
This is something like O'Malley talks about a lot, like having focus and stuff like that. And it's really true that you can really maintain that for a certain amount of time. It's almost like when you're in survival mode, right? You have to be really focused. And so like there's every sense in your body that's like telling you to just focus, focus, focus. And you kind of like acclimate your nervous system that way. But you also are in a high cortisol state. So you can't really maintain that, right? You're in this intensity, so to speak, that you don't have this capacity to go to a certain amount, or you have to build that capacity, right? To be able to take yourself to that amount. But instead you're actually just like doubling down on that intensity, right? So I get where he's coming from. I think it's just about, having that balance, really, if I'm being honest.
And you spoke about the old guard facing the new fighters. You've drawn Anderson Silva comparisons since the start of your career. Do you see yourself kind of as in the same position as a late career Anderson Silva?
Yeah, but different. And something I even said to Oscar yesterday was, when you think about Anderson Silva, no one thinks about the last part of his career. They remember the highlights and the moments he made them feel something. He made the whole world feel something, like just by being himself, being amazing at fighting, and just being a sweet guy. So for me, I'm in the same position. Like I said, this is the cycle of everything, but, I'm going to write my own story.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Hey, Israel. What is your relationship currently with the fans? Because you said, you've been getting some messages and things like that about you coming back. But I remember, I think it was on the Joe Rogan pod a few years ago. You were on there and you said, dude, I'm cool if you want to come up and take a picture with me and things like that. But I don't like the NPC actions when people come and they yell in my face and things like that. So where does the current relationship stand with the fans?
It's all about respect. Like, I'm sure I've had some bad interactions with fans because some people they don't care about, you. They just want what they want. They want that picture now. I could be having dinner with my family, having a serious conversation, and then they just interrupt us. And I don't want to be that guy, but I'm like, you're being that guy. And it's all about respect, time and place. Outside the hotel, I take photos. I just don't like scalpers, guys who bring like 20 things to sign. I'm like, I know what you're doing. I ain't stupid. I wasn't born yesterday, but it's about respect. And I've had great interactions with fans. People who show respect, like you'll see heaps of comments on my freestyle bender, people being like, I met this guy one time and man, we talked for like 15 minutes. Even if it's 5 seconds, I want to connect with someone for that. I'll make them feel seen for that 5 seconds, take the picture. And I will even pick like something I like about their outfit or their look, and I'll just make them feel seen and connect for that little bit. But sometimes if the energy's right and you don't force things and people aren't weird, because you get some weird people. I'm sure you've heard stories, but you get some weird people who trying to hold you hostage. But nah, it's all about respect, man. If you give me respect, I'll give it back. But if you're a dickhead and you don't even realize and you're not objective enough to see that you're a dickhead, then I can be a bigger dick too.
No, he's obviously African, a true African. So, that's not really hard to believe, to be honest with you. No, I'm just joking. Okay, all jokes aside, though, like I get where he's coming from because, like, obviously I've never been in that sort of, perspective. But in the same breath, it's just sometimes people like try too hard. Like I've been around friends who it almost feels like they're trying too hard to get you to react to them or like them or whatever the case is. And it's kind of like you don't really want to be their friend because you're just like, what the fuck, you're so cringe, or you're just too you're just weird. Like you're just fucking like you're just a fucking weirdo. And I get where he's coming from. And yeah, it's just like, yeah, be fucking respectful, bro. Like just like he said, just be respectful, just be present. And I know we're all human beings. It's not, if you're one of those guys who's gone up to him and been disrespectful. I mean, who God knows, right? I don't know how that. Like I saw Joaquin Buckley when I went to the UFC Houston fights, and I didn't get a chance to say hi to him, but I did say hi to a different fighter. And I was so present in the moment when I said hi to him. And then I turned around and I got really excited because I thought he wasn't looking at me anymore. And I turned back around and he was looking at me and I'm like, oh my God, like I did a great job. I wasn't awkward. I was cool as fuck when I said hi to him. I told him I'm a big fan of yours. And then I didn't expect him to appreciate the energy. So he just probably like wondered who I was and stays there. And then all of a sudden, you know, he looks back and I'm like freaking the fuck out basically, right? So let me look it up so I can tell you guys who I'm talking about so you get the idea. Fighter who broke Jesus Christ, dude, I'm drawing blanks, man. Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall is the guy I'm talking about, guys. Uriah Hall is when I like saw it. I'm like, dude, you're fucking cool. Big fan. And I am a big fan of Uriah Hall. I liked his fighting and I liked the way his style was and stuff like that. But I saw him out of like one of these cocktail bars in Houston. And I'm like, oh, dude, hey, how are you? It's good to meet you. Big fan of yours. Just wanted to give you a little quick fist bump. And he was with like a couple other people as well. And then all of a sudden, like, I turn around, I'm like telling Colin, I'm like, Colin, dude, what the fuck? That's so cool. Because Colin was the one that pointed Uriah Hall out to me. He's like, oh my God, dude, Uriah Hall's right there. And then Walking Buckley's there. And then there was one more fighter as well. And I was like, oh, sick. And I wanted to say hi to them. And I'm like saying hi. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I couldn't help myself to like, you know, get so excited. And even with I met like Terrence McKinney, who I posted a picture about recently. Terrence McKinney is hella cool, man. Like down to earth. I don't want to make this channel about talking bad about other fighters and stuff like that. So like, obviously I've done that a little bit with the Ngannou stuff and things of that nature. If you haven't watched the Ngannou fight, or sorry, the Ngannou reaction interview to Ngannou's interview with Ariel Helwani, that was the most recent one. Like, go ahead and watch that video. But in general, like, I'm just speaking in generals. Like, if you look at that fight, if you look at my reaction, I'm like, not a big Ngannou fan. I'm a fan of him as a fighter. Just as a person, I'm not a fan of his. And so I kind of like react to that, if that makes sense.
Do you have a Nav story for us while he's in the room?
Navajo. Is he in the room? A Nav story. What's a good Nav story?
What a weird way to say that.
I mean, it was cool when I won the belt 287 again in Miami, having him around. Fuck. I just like the picture of us at 11 and he had a Miami shirt on, shirtless, smoking a cigar. And I'm there, I think, same thing, just smoking a cigar in the club. That was fun. Yeah. So again, he's a guy that I've admired since he came to the gym. And I'm finding out how much I played a part in his career as well. So it's cool. Something he said on Stylebender the other day, the young man Rambo, he said like, he thought like, man, I was hoping you'd be around so we can be on the same card together. So now we're on the same card together. You know, that's my twin. See, we look alike. So it's good to like make it full circle finally. I'm sure he can tell you some stories, but you know, that's for him to tell. Easy ass. Thank you guys. This is fun.
That's his story, not my story. Okay, moving in to what we have next. We're going to go ahead and just share this. You know, this is basically when Izzy essentially won his title on the Joe Rogan Experience. We're going to watch this right now.
Belt, because technically I was the champ as well. I was the champ. And if he had beat me, he would have got one of those rubies you put on this. So I'm looking for my ruby as well.
They get a ruby?
Yeah, like that's the thing. You don't get, you know how I used to get a new belt?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get a new belt anymore. So what they do is you send this off. This isn't actually my one. I've sent it off.
This isn't yours?
Yeah, but
you sent yours already.
I sent you take this plaque off, this plaque on the side, and then you send it off. Then they put a ruby and send it back to you.
They put a ruby in the plaque?
Yeah. So you collect like the Infinity Stones or whatever.
Oh,
yeah. So I got the Soul Stone.
Shit. Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, I used to not like this belt. Now I like it better.
It's grown. Yeah. It took me like maybe 2 days after everyone complained about it. Then I looked at it, and when I first saw it, I think it was at the PI, and I was like, you know what? I fuck with it.
Yeah, I for a while I was like, the old one was better. And now
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think so anymore. I like this one.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, it gets you every time. This one's cleaner.
Yeah.
It's just like sharp.
More legible.
Yeah.
The old one, it was cool. And I still like I could buy one on the website, hopefully.
Yeah, but those are light.
Yeah, but you just for like nostalgic purposes and just because, I've been a fan. I should have got one of those. I came at the end of it.
Colby's still walking around with one.
Man, don't get attached to these things, man. I flex with them for a little bit, because even my last after Atlanta, my coach, he was kind of worried because I was going to Nigeria, I was going to all these shows. I gotta like show it off, flex it, but he's my coach. So Eugene's like, man, don't think you're the champ yet. But I'm like, yeah, I'm the champ. But then there was a point when we moved gyms, and I just kind of put in this box with everything else, and then he kind of posted about it because he saw like, okay, the switch happened. Like it's game time now. So same thing. I'm doing my tour right now, victory tour, walk around, do all this shit. But then even being at the fights last weekend, I got FOMO because, after the fights, I see what's up, people talking about me, right. So I'm like, man, I got to get back to the gym. So when I get back, I don't even look at this thing.
That's interesting. So you're aware that you could get too into the moment.
Yeah.
You can get too wrapped up in the fact that you won the title and maybe slack off a little
100%.
or maybe take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, because a lot of people, this is their goal. They're like, I want to become the UFC champion. They get it done, and then what happens after in their next fight? They lose it, or they lose track of what really matters. So some guys, like Kobe, for example, he's walking around with the belt. When Usman whips his ass, or if Usman whips his ass, then what's going to happen? You're going to walk around with that belt. How are you going to feel?
Well, the Colby thing is interesting, and I don't know how much Colby wants people talking about this, but I'm gonna spill it as much as I can.
Ooh.
That's an act, man. That's a strong act 100%. That he put on when they were ready to cut him. They were ready to cut. You talk to that guy in real life, he's very respectful.
Jeff's been around him. Jeff's been and said he's the nicest guy.
He's a nice guy, man. He's playing a pro wrestling heel, and he's got the whole world worked up.
It sells.
It sells. And here's the thing, though. This is where it's interesting. It tricks people. Because he seems like a goof. He wears this stupid fucking cheap blue suit. He wears that MAGA hat.
Does that smile.
He's got the old belt.
Yeah.
You know it's not a legit belt, right?
Yeah.
But he did win the interim title, and they took it from him for no reason. It doesn't make any sense. So there's this thing about him where people somehow or another think, like, maybe he's illegitimate. Maybe he's not real. Then he fucks Robbie Lawler up.
Yeah, he can work.
And you go, oh, Jesus, this guy doesn't get tired. He could strike. His wrestling's on point. His fucking cardio's off the chart.
Yeah.
He's tough as nails.
Yeah, I was impressed on the inside.
He's
especially when he put Robbie against the fence. He was right there, slipping and ripping.
Oh, yeah.
Some things, everyone has holes in their game. I have holes in my game. But he was really impressive. The way he was right there in his face against Robbie Lawler.
He's not an elite striker in the sense of like he's a guy who will slip and then blast someone unconscious with one shot. He's a volume guy, and he's throwing 60%, 50, 60%, just on you.
That's it, a DS
never,
style.
Never let you rest. Never let you rest. And Robbie in that fight, and Robbie's a fucking all-time great welterweight champion. I mean, he was a legit top of the food chain motherfucker, and he was looking for those openings that were never there.
Yeah.
He was always looking for Colby to slow down. Colby never slowed down.
He was waiting. He would see him like just waiting,
Yep.
and he was just like buying his time,
looking to explode.
It's like, okay, fuck.
Yep.
All right, here it is. And there's ways to do that. Like I did.
Okay, I did not mean to let that go for so long and let it rip, but fuck me. I mean, coming out with that Colby stuff that just happened recently, like, how can you? I mean, that has aged so fucking well, guys. Like, come on, like that's aged so well. What? Okay, I'm tripping out. No, but genuinely, like, that's aged so well. Like, I cannot believe what I just heard. Okay, let's go to the next phase.
Because the fight was so hard?
Yeah, I think because of the way the fight went, the back and forth, and then me, that fifth round, like I found out who I was after that fifth round. I found out the depths I'm willing to go. So when they put my hand up, and you're beat up and all that kind of stuff. And also I never had a belt before, so I've never had it wrapped around my waist as I visualized it. So once that happened, boom, I felt like yes. And also I was like, please, judges, don't screw me over, don't fuck me over on this, man. And I knew I had it, but you never know.
Exactly,
bro.
Dude.
And then look at the Darren Till Gaston fight. So when they put my hand up, I was like, yes. But then this time they put my hand up, I was like, all right, what's that? And the thing is, my brain wants to move forward. Because I did it in kickboxing because I was undefeated for so long. So it was always like, all right, cool, what's next? I'll watch the fight maybe once, study it. All right, what's next? But now I have to like chill, relax, look at the tape, look at what you've done, and then soak it in, smell the roses for a little bit, and then move on.
Yeah.
Because once I had my first loss, I took winning for granted because it was just a habit. I was always winning, always winning, always winning. So now I have to like, when you win, when you do something amazing, like I did in Atlanta, like I did in Melbourne, just chill, smell the roses, and then move forward.
Yeah, it's called the winner effect. If you ever read that book with the winner effect, that's what he's without knowing it or not, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but that's essentially what he's describing is the winner effect. Okay, what I want to do is I want to go into the next phase of where he's talking about something. So let's get into that.
Like fear of missing out, because I see everyone
You
training
keep
at the
saying
gym.
FOMO.
Oh, fear of missing out. That's it's
okay.
an acronym.
Yeah.
That's what the kids are saying.
I know the
Yeah, sorry, I had to interject here because reminds me of my mom and dad. Like they're so cute, and they're like, my mom was like, she just looks at me, she goes, "What is this FOMO thing, and what does it mean?" And I'm like, "Fear of missing out," and she's like, "Oh, yeah." I don't know. I thought that was hilarious.
kids say it, but I never bothered looking at what it means.
It's fear of missing out. So like I see like on the group chat what the team's doing, and I see them working the 10 a.m. squad. Shout out to the 10 a.m. squad. Where they at?
And you start feeling it, like,
yeah,
ooh, I
I'm
gotta
just
get
like,
back there.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And especially like just the young guys coming up, you know, I see it, and I'm not stupid, man. I know that the target's on my back. It's easy to get this, but it's hard to keep it. So yeah, I want to make sure I want to do what Demetrius did. I want to do what.
I'm sorry, I just have to say, like, interject right now. What he said there was the main part I wanted to get from it, because I think that's beautiful what he said, and he not just like said it, but he made it happen. If I'm being honest, right? Up until Alex Pereira and Charles Strickler.
Silva did, you know. I want to be one of those guys who just racks it up, get all the infinity stones,
all the gems. Now, what happens if they overrun the outside of
Give
this
me a new
thing
belt.
with gems?
Give me a new
Give
belt.
you a new belt.
Yeah,
They used to give you a new belt every time.
I know. I'll stop
What-
putting these ones, all the gems on these bits.
Guys like Stipe has a shitload of belts.
Yeah,
Like,
it would have been cool.
why
I
don't they give
was
you a new
looking
belt
forward to
every
that.
time?
I'm sure I can buy some of it. You know, like
Talk to somebody. Yeah. It's what'd you think about the BMF belt? Yeah, it's a touchy subject, right?
I felt like I like the idea, you know, the fact that Nate Diaz, you know, he ain't no West Coast gangster, you know, and then, you know, from Miami, you know, whatever. They should have kept that between them. The company didn't have to get involved. They did.
Yeah. You know, we're going to save this for another day. If I'm being honest with you guys, like, I would love to go into that right there, but we're going to have to keep this for another day. The BMF belt.
Heavyweight, I'll drag him back down. And I said, like, 2021 is the time, because I don't want to disrespect the game. I'm not going to hold up the division. The division's been held up long enough by Robert fucking being sick and being injured, and, you know, Romero not making weight and all this shit. I'm like, let me do what Silva did, which was honor the fucking code and actually be a champion and defend the belt. So I'm going to do that. I've done it once against Robert Whittaker, double interim champ. So I'm going to do it again. There's killers out there. I even saw Cannonier in the weekend. And he's a fucking beautiful dude, man. Such a nice guy.
He's a
and
very
I said,
nice
what's
guy.
up, brother? How you doing?
He's a killer.
You know? Exactly. He's the dark horse. He's the dark horse. Everyone thinks Romero is. Everyone thinks Costa is the one. Nah. He is the guy I'm stalking him. I've been watching him, man.
He's another guy that's made a shift over the last year and a half or so. Jared's made a shift where he's just become more and more serious, more and more dangerous. And you watch him. When he took out Anderson Silva and he fucked his leg up, you're like, Jesus. Like, he's on a mission.
Yeah.
He's on a mission.
I see him, man. I'm not slipping. They'll never catch me slipping unless I slip him and I rip him.
He's got fantastic genetics, too. And that guy's a tank.
See, I saw when he was fighting this guy at heavyweight, and he walked him down.
Yo, okay. Fuck all of that about Jared Kenya, yeah? Let's go into this one, yeah? That fucked this up. Let's go. Oh, fuck me, man. Fuck me. All right, I fucked that up. My bad. Let's go.
Times you defended the title, you won the title, you beat the greatest guys of your generation. How could you not be happy with what you've done already?
But I still feel great. And again, you know, when fighters talk about, I lost the belt, I felt this pressure lifted, whatever. I never felt that when I lost it in MSG. I was just like, I'm gonna fight this guy again. And I got it back. But then when I lost it, Not to Strickland, but even this last one is the only time when I was just like, I wasn't a champ, I guess, but when this last fight was the first time I felt that, like, well, but I still feel like I'm that guy because a lot of people still have that target on my back because I'm Israel Adesanya. But having to fight for the belt, having to fight with that thing, I don't know. This is the first time I've ever felt that where I'm like, meh, I'm good. So I'm just gonna see what happens, train, get better, and fight again at some point.
Just concentrate on the task instead of this whole thing of the titles and
because I feel like when you have the title, there's spotlight on you. There still is a spotlight on me, but it's not the same thing. And now I get to enjoy a little bit more, like, almost freedom in a sense. Well, I've heard fighters talk about it heaps. So again, for me, I never felt it till recently that I'm like, oh, I get what they mean now when they talk about the pressure. The pressure's still there, but it's not the same. And I'm like, cool, I get to just fight for me now. I get to have fun. Yeah, I want to try some crazy shit. Like, I actually want to fight and just do I want to go back to the way I used to fight when we didn't have so much on the line, because it's not just about me. It's about the people that are around me that, I have to, not have to, but, like, if I do good, everybody eats. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So now that we still do good, we still eat. But it's like, fuck the belt. We'll just have fun. So I just want to go back to having fun. The way I used to fight when I was a young fucking schizo fritterer who just did shit for fun. Like the fucking Tavares fight, end of round one, I'm like, I'm going to try a Minari roll. See what that does. And I kind of missed it. But yeah, I'm going to bring that back. I kind of want to do that kind of shit again, just because.
So do you think that, like, as the stakes are higher, the pressure is more, and it just restricts your creativity, it restricts your ability to just be loose?
It didn't at first, but the longer you defend the belt, it happened to Anderson as well. I saw it because I watched Anderson's rise, and I saw even to the point where people wanted him to lose just because he was so great.
Right.
It was just, and then it's just that natural thing where people build you up because they want to tear you down.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that happen to me as well. They're like, we just want to see him lose. And when it happened, they're like, yeah. And then when I won it again, it's like, yeah. And I lost it, they're like, yeah. So it's just natural.
Yeah.
It's natural.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who the fuck Israel's listening to, but I never felt that way. And whenever I watch Israel Adesanya fight, I just felt like I want him to win. Like, I've always wanted him to win. I wanted him to perform. I wanted him to be a winner, and he is a winner, right? Obviously. But I wanted him to continue winning and continue performing. I'm not gonna lie, there's parts of me where I did want to see him lose only because I was like, bro, the fight against Jared Cannonier, he talks it up. His entrance is incredible. And then the performance is just so lackluster. You're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? It's like the same thing with MVP. He comes in and he's like, ooh, he's doing all this like cool stuff and he's like flexing, whatever the case is. And then he goes and barely touches his opponent with 44 strikes over 3 rounds. And you're like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? You literally caved in a dude's skull. You caved someone's skull in the Bellator, weight class or whatever you would call it, division. Like, are you just not a top tier fighter? MVP? I'm not trying to make this about MVP, by the way, but it's like, are you not a top tier fighter? And there's another side to it as well. Like, you see Adesanya, you see what he's capable of. With Adesanya, you know he's capable. It's like the same thing with MVP. You know he's capable of more, of greater things, of greater performances itself. And then all of a sudden, when they come out and they play it safe, they're playing to not lose rather than to win, right? They're playing to not lose rather than playing to actually win the fight. And it's like, bro, we want to see you win, but we don't just want to see you win, bro. We want to see you win emphatically, man. We want to see you win with like we want to see you win with like an incredible performance. Like, we're just like, we drop our jaw essentially. That makes sense.
I don't know, the mob of humans or whatever, the fans, it's just how it is, the Coliseum.
Well, there's always a bunch of people that don't like that you've accomplished something they will never accomplish.
Oh, there's
Yeah, obviously there's a bunch of that shit too. Now, I think that's it for this, guys. I think that's it for all this. I think I've done quite a few more than I was going to go into. Like I said at the beginning, I was going to go into, obviously the fight with, I was going to go to the Joe Pyfer press conference thing, but at this point, I don't see myself doing that. I'm going to have to go to bed and definitely, figure this thing out and figure this thing out. No, I mean, just like I want to come back in the morning and do a thing. Now, if you haven't already liked or subscribed, feel free to like and subscribe. The other thing I want to share with you guys as well, I've been thinking about this a lot. So I do want to do like obviously a YouTube live and stuff like that. However, I have one request. If you get me to 100 subscribers, I will go ahead and do a live. Now, whether that's with Colin, whether that's with Mo, or whether that's with, MMA KAY, like we're going to do an IG live. Okay. So help us get to 100 subscribers and we'll do an IG live. Not IG live. Sorry, YouTube live. Jesus Christ. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Thank you guys for everything. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate the support, all the subscribers, all the comments. Throw shade, whatever you want at me. I don't care. Like, just comment. Like, I want you guys to comment, interact. And all you subscribers that have already subscribed to my channel, I want to know who you guys are. I want to learn more about you. So feel free to subscribe, to leave comments, and well, you've already subscribed, but just leave comments. Like, I want to get to know you guys more intimately.